So now I've already finished the bottom part of the mermaid. You can see how gorgeous the color is that I chose for the mermaid. If you like this color, it's the Red Heart with Love Metallic, and it's the teal color. I think it's just perfect for the mermaid dress. It's just gorgeous. And for her hair, if you love the color that I used for her hair, sometimes I like to switch up the yarn. You can see how the yarn, it just adds different textures to the design. So that's an option that you can use for yours too. But if you like the hair choice color that I used, I love this cotton, and the color is Tart Orange. So this is the bottom of the mermaid, and now I'm going to be showing you the top of the mermaid. So for the top of the mermaid, there's something different. All of the blocks that we've completed, we've always started with this solid color for the first starting chain. So here you can see where I have different colors on the starting chain. So I'm going to show you how to start off with a block like that. Now the other thing that I wanted to show you is that when you're working, if you're drawing your own graphs, you have to be careful when you're attaching the top block to the bottom block. And what I mean by that is sometimes when you crochet the two blocks together, you might get a little bit of stretching. So you want to be careful where you line up the top image, or how you draw the top image to attach to the bottom image. So what I'm saying is that here you can see the neck. I have only one row for the neck, and then I made this area for the chest. So I didn't make a neck here with only 3 blocks, because then it would make her neck look too long. So that's an option that you can do. The other thing that I'm doing differently, if you notice, is I have different colors. They're not going to match up exactly. So you'll have some of her dress near where her hair is, and the only part that I'll match up exactly is where the neck meets the chest. So that's only if you're drawing your own graph. So you just have to be careful what part of the image that you're going to have on the top block compared to the lower block. So now we're going to get started with the top block for the mermaid. So for the starting chain, when you're bringing your colors onto or making your chain with your Tunisian crochet hook, you're going from left to right. So you need 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 of the blue before you change colors. So the first thing you're going to do is take your blue yarn, fold it over on itself to form a loop, take your crochet hook, go right through the loop, hold the base of the loop with your middle finger and your thumb, and then just yarn over, turn the hook upside down, and go through the loop for your slip knot. Go ahead and cinch that knot down and cinch the loop around your crochet hook. So now you need a chain of 10 with the blue color. So you just yarn over, turn the hook upside down, and go through the loop for 1, 2, 3, 4. So go ahead, finish a chain of 10, and then come back. So now I have a chain of 10 with the blue colored yarn. So here on the chart you can see that we're at this point. So now we need 4 of the orange color for her hair. So I'm going to bring up the orange colored yarn, and you could put it onto a clothespin if you want to. So you just bring up a loop, and then you just need to tie a knot. So just take, let's get into view here, take the blue end and the red loose yarn end and just tie a knot. Then you're going to make a chain of 4 with the orange colored yarn. 1, 2, 3, 4. So now that brings us up to the neck. We need 3 of the beige for the neck, or whatever color that you want for the neck. If you like the color that I chose for my cream, or beige, it's actually a cream colored yarn from Crafter's Secret from Hobby Lobby. So now I'm just going to bring up a loop with my cream colored yarn. And then again, you want to tie a knot with the other colored, previous color, loose yarn end. So you can see how it's following the bottom of the graph. So now we need 3 of the beige before we go back to the orange. So you just yarn over and then go through the loop for 1, 2, 3. So now the orange isn't that far away, so I'm going to stretch the orange across to continue chaining for the amount that I need. So on my graph, that's 3, 6, 9, 12, 14. So you just grab the orange and then just bring up a loop and then cinch the beige loop down around the orange, and then make your chain of 14. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4. So go ahead, finish your chain of 14 with the orange. So now I'm going to finish the rest in blue, which is 9 blocks. Now you can see that the blue is too far to stretch. So I'm going to go ahead and bring in some more blue yarn. So again, just bring up a loop, and then you just take and tie a knot with the previous colored yarn. And then you chain 9. So go ahead, finish a chain of 9 with your blue. So now this is what your work looks like. And you can see that it looks just like the colors. It matches up to your graph, that first line of your graph. Now, we only have the starting chain completed. We have not even started working on the first row yet. So we just have the starting chain colors. So you can see that when you're making your starting chain of colors, you start from left to right. Do not start from right to left, because when you start your first row, you'll see that it doesn't come out right. So what you remember, when you have the first row with different colors, this is the first time that I'm showing you a block that has different colors for the first row. I made it easy for beginners with the first blocks that we did and just made a solid color. So now we have the first row with different colors, and you can see that when that happens, you start from left to right. Now we completed our starting chain and we're ready to start our first row. So now we know that the first row has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 blue boxes. And again, we know that the first loop on our hook represents the first box. So now you're going to go into the second chain from the hook and bring up a loop, and that's our second loop. So we know that we need 9 loops on our hook to correspond with the 9 blue boxes on the graph. So there's 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. And that brings us to the orange. So now you're going to pick up the orange color, and we're ready to start bringing up loops with the orange color. And that brings us to here on the graph. And remember, we need 14 boxes of the orange color. So now you're going into the next chain of the orange. Bring up a loop. And then you just go through each chain and bring up a loop. And remember, you should have 14 of the orange loops. So now I have 14 loops of the orange, and then that brings me to the 3 loops of the beige or cream color for the neck. So I'm going to go into the first loop. I'm going to drop the orange, pick up the beige, and you can see that the beige loop that's connected to the orange looks like a stitch. Don't go into that thinking that's the stitch. Remember, there's only 3. Give it a gentle pull, and then you're going to find your stitch. So here is your first stitch. Bring up a loop, and then your second stitch. Bring up a loop, and your third stitch. So now you can see that you're corresponding with the graph. Now I need 4 of the orange, and then I need 10 of the blue to finish the half of the first row. So this time I brought the orange across because it's not that far. So you want to go into your first stitch. Make sure you get your first stitch, because there's 4 stitches that you need with the orange. So this one is my first one here. So I'm going to go into that first stitch. Then the second, third, and fourth. So you can see how I kind of stretched the yarn across. And when I did that, it made that first stitch seem a little small. So make sure you don't skip that first stitch. Then you're ready to drop the orange and then go into the first blue stitch. And remember, the blue stitch, you need 10. So it's easy as long as you just correspond with the graph. It's 1 to 1, so that makes it really simple. So go ahead, finish bringing up the rest of your loops, and then come back. So now you have all of your loops on your hook. You should have 40 loops on your hook, and we're right here on the graph. So we finished half of row 1. And now we're going to complete row 1, just like we've done before. So now you just yarn over, turn the hook upside down, and go through only 1 loop to begin for 1. Then you go through 2 loops at a time. So here's 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So now we have the 2 different colors. So you drop your blue, pick up your orange. 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. So you can see how it created a gap here. You already know how to do this. We've done it with several blocks. You just gently pull the stitches closer together. 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, 36, 37, 38, 39, and what we want to hear, that 40. So we know we have 40 stitches, and we have completed row 1, and now you can see that it looks just like the graph. So you have the same number of blocks here, here, the neck, the other side of the hair, and the blue. And you completed row 1. So it's that easy. So that's the only difference when you have a starting chain with different colors. Now you can complete the rest of the block the exact same way. So now I'm going to show you how to combine a bottom image block with a top image block. So the first thing that you need to do is gather the colors that you need to join these two blocks. So you're going to need the blue, the orange for her hair, the beige for her neck, more orange for her hair, and then the blue on the other side. Now once you have all of the colors, go ahead and line up the two blocks. So here's the top of the mermaid block, and here's the bottom of the mermaid block. And you're going to fold the top block down on top of the bottom block, so you have the right sides together. Then you're going to take and make sure that both ends line up. So I usually take my tapestry needle to join the two top ends. So I just take the tapestry needle, and I have a loose yarn end right at the top of the block. I'm going to use that and then just join it to the top stitch on the opposite block. And then just make sure that you tie a knot. Then once you've tied the one end together, then you can take and you can make sure that you line up the center color pieces as well. And make sure that you use the same color to do that. So here on the end, you can see where I have the blue lines up with the orange of the hair. So I'm going to use this loose yarn end blue to make sure that I'm lining up with the blue across. And then here I want the neck to line up. So that's another important area that I want to line up. And I want the three of the neck on the head to line up with the center of the beige of the chest on the bottom block. So I'm just going to put the tapestry needle on that beige loose yarn end. And then just make sure that that lines up. and then the blue on the end here. So I think that's good. Those are the main parts that I want to line up. So now I'm ready to start joining the two blocks. So now I'm just going to take my Tunisian hook and I'm going to go under the two loops. Make sure you grab at least two loops and then grab the stitch on the end. And remember that the other block, since it's a top and bottom block, when you end on a row on Tunisian crochet, you have these large holes here. So when you're connecting blocks with large holes, which is different from when you're connecting side to side, you want to make sure that you get under the hole and that you grab at least two loops. So I'm going under that hole and I'm grabbing at least two loops. See if I can get in there better. Yeah, it's on the end. So I'm going to go right under there and then just bring up a loop and then tie a knot. Now I should have at least, according to the graph, I should have at least 9 loops. So that just kind of helps me make sure that I'm getting the right amount. And then you just go under, make sure you're under 2 loops on one side. And then you want to make sure that you go under the hole. I'm just going to show you with my tapestry needle. So I'm going to go right under the hole. Move my needle out of the way. So here's the large hole. And here's the large hole. I'm going to go right in here. So that way I know that I'm grabbing at least 2 loops on the opposite block. So I'm just going to go right in there and then bring up a loop. So that's 2. And then you just keep repeating that until you get to the orange part. It's 4. So I'm coming up with at least the 9, like I thought I would. There's 8. And then the last blue stitch, and now I'm ready for the orange. So now I'm going to go into the first orange stitch. And then bring up my orange. And then you just bring up your orange loops until you get to the beige. So I'm going to go, and this is how you can work it as well. So you're going to want to go with the side with the solid color. So even though I have some of the dress color here, I'm going to go with the color of the hair on the one block all the way across until I reach the beige of the neck. So I'm going to be using the orange color for all my loops until I get to the beige of the neck. So that should be about 14 loops of the orange color. So I ended up with exactly 14 with mine, and that brings me to the 3 beige stitches of the neck. So I'm going to go under the beige stitch, the first one on the one side, and then go to the beige stitch on the other side. and then bring up my loop. And then tie a knot. So there's one. Make sure I don't grab the turquoise. So there's two. And the last beige of the neck, 3. Then I'm ready to go back to the orange color. And I can stretch the orange color back across. Make sure I get under the gap. So I'm going to stretch the orange across. And then I'm going to continue with the orange until I get to the blue, the last remaining blue stitches. So it's about 4 of the orange before I reach the blue. So now you can see how my work looks, and I have the blue stitches lining up perfectly. Now I'm not going to be able to stretch the blue from over here, so I'm going to bring up a new blue on this side. And then I'm ready to go into the blue stitch. Again, I'm grabbing at least 2 loops. I'm going to go under that one. And then go under the holes on the opposite block and grab the 2 loops. And then bring up a loop. And then finish bringing up all of the blue colors. So this is how it looks after I joined all of the different colors for the top and the bottom, and then you just return back the same exact way. So you just yarn over and go through 1 first and then 2 at a time until you reach the 2 loops with different colors. So I'll do the first color change with you. So now I have the 2 loops with the different colors, 1 blue, 1 orange. I'm going to drop the blue, pick up the orange, and then just continue all the way back to where you started. Then when you finish your last 2 loops, you can go ahead and yarn over and just pull enough yarn through to not bury, but just leave. Because we don't have to bury our loose yarn ends. So I finished off. Then you're going to go back to all your other different colors, kind of give it a gentle tug to hide that loop, and then you just tie a knot with those loose yarn ends. Then after you're finished, you're ready to open it up, and you can see your beautiful work attached. So that's why I make more of the beige on the top of the bottom panel, and then less for the neck on the top panel, because it looks like it just kind of goes into the chest portion instead of having a very long neck. So that's how I do it. And you can see that even though it's off to the side, it still looks okay. You could even have it more towards the center, which was what I was attempting to do, but it still doesn't look, it looks okay. So that's why I make it that way. And then you could even, on the original graph, you could even make another beige here if you wanted to, but that's fine. It just looks like part of the dress. So those are just things that you can do for yours when you're combining a top image with a bottom image. But those are the tricks that I use. And you can see how the dress just looks like it's with the hair. So that's how I try to, when I finish a top block and the first row of the top image, that's why I do the colors the way that I do for those two images, and it comes out really pretty. So now I'm going to show you how I use embroidery thread to finish the face. So first I'm going to show you how I make the nose. For the nose, I'm using the same colored yarn, which is my beige colored yarn or cream colored yarn, on my tapestry needle, and I'm doubling it up. So I doubled up the yarn, and then I'm going to come up from the wrong side with my tapestry needle. And you want to come up right in the center between the cheeks. And then I'm right at the top of the cheek, right in the center. And then I'm going to come up with my tapestry needle and make sure that you leave the loose yarn ends on the back. Then you can take and go over 2 stitches and then go back in towards the wrong side and tie a knot. And then I like to go through twice for mine, and I actually went through a 3rd time. So you can go either twice or 3 times, whatever you want for your nose. And then I'm going to use my prism thread, the embroidery thread, for the smile, and I chose this really pretty pastel pink. And then I doubled up my embroidery thread as well on my tapestry needle. And then again, you want to come up from the wrong side. So I chose to come up right in line with the nose on the one side, and I went through the half portion of right next to my stitch here. So right in the half portion, and make sure you leave enough on the wrong side for the loose yarn end. And then I went down at an angle, half a stitch, the rest of the stitch, and then 1 stitch over on the other side of the Tunisian stitch. Then I tied a knot on the wrong side, and then I'm going to go up right the half stitch right next to the next Tunisian stitch for the other side of the smile, and then back down. Then you have a cute little smile. And my little mermaid turned out really beautiful. And you can see the clamshell with the pearl. So the other half will come with the merman video tutorial.